Hello and welcome to another K6 Office Hours. I'm Nicole van der Hoeven, and today I'm joined by two of my colleagues. You may recognize one of them. Mark, would you like to reintroduce yourself for the people who haven't seen you previously?
Hey everyone, my name is. Oops, I had another.
Did you
I had
forget what
another
your
thing
name
up.
was?
No, I had our YouTube, our stream open, and I started hearing you again. I was confused. Anyway, yeah, I'm Mark. I am the head of customer here at K6 Cloud. Hi again.
Hi. I think the last time you were here, we had, I think it was with Robin, wasn't it? We were talking
Yes.
about features that we wanted to see in K6 in the future. And today we've also got, for the very first time, so we're popping cherries here, it's Simon. Well, why don't you introduce yourself too?
All right, yeah. So my name is Simon. I manage the K6 front-end team here at K6. Yeah, that's me.
So, what does that mean? What do you actually do for your job, like on a daily basis? What are you responsible for?
Right. So we're a pretty small team currently. We are 5 developers in the K6 front-end team, and that's including me. So same as the other devs, I also work on projects and code on those. But recently I've spent some more time in planning and specing features and kind of like giving feedback and trying out the things that the teams build, and yeah, like removing admin work from the team, I suppose. Um, yeah.
I also wanted to apologize that we kind of skipped the last two office hours because, well, mainly it was because of me, because I'm in between countries right now trying to move, but we will be more. I think we will be posting at least for the next few weeks, probably not at Christmas, or that might be like pre-recorded or something. But we are now live on YouTube, Twitch, and maybe LinkedIn. So that's kind of up in the air right now because it's the first time we're trying it. I did want to talk about some recent meetups as well that we've had. A couple weeks ago, I spoke at two meetups. One was Performance Objective, which is Polish, and it's about an intro to load testing with K6 and Grafana. And then there was another one with GitLab Unfiltered called Everyone Can Contribute. And one of our users, actually, Jose Luis Latorre Millas, spoke at Cloud Summit 2021 about us. And we're not even paying him. Like, it's just so awesome to have people who are excited enough about K6 that they just want to talk about it for even though they're not getting paid. So today we wanted to talk about how the front end of K6 Cloud gets built, what's come out this year, and what's going to come out very soon. And that's why we've got Simon here. But Simon, how long have you actually been at K6? Like, when did you first join K6?
Oh, so what is it now? It's been a little over 3 years, I think. Uh, yeah, I was actually asked by the Pavel, the CTO, to join because we had previously worked in another company, and yeah, I guess I really enjoyed working with Pavel. So when he asked me to join, I kind of like, yeah, why not? Um,
Wow. So you're 6 years, did you say?
no, three
Oh,
three
three.
years and some months, something like that, I think.
And what about you, Mark?
6 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's why. I remember I looked it up. You're 6, Simon's 3. I'm 1. Actually, my anniversary was like in November, so we just passed it.
It's
So that's
only
kind of
been
cool.
1 year. I
I
feel
know
like
it
I've
feels
known you
like I've
so
been
much
here
longer.
forever. He's just trying to get rid of me. It was like after the first month, it's like, oh no, we're just stuck with her. So what made you other than Powell, what did you like about K6? Because obviously you wouldn't have joined if you didn't believe in the product in some way.
Right. So I guess like two things. So at the time he asked me, I was working for one of, I guess, the more well-known fintech companies in Stockholm. It's like they had a great culture. Like I actually had fun, and but I didn't really find that I fit in some sense. It didn't really feel like meaningful, the actual work I did. I don't know why that was, but that was just like the feeling I had at that place. So yeah, one of the things was Pavel, like I mentioned, and the other thing, well, I guess for the product is pretty cool actually, because it's a product that has a target audience, which is, well, essentially myself, right? Engineers and engineering teams. So that was pretty interesting to actually get the chance to work on a product like that. And it's pretty technical, and you get to kind of invent and work on things that are not like your typical products or typical projects. So we'll typically have to do some like very interesting inventions and like how the different systems work together.
I actually really want to commend you because the K6 Cloud UI and UX are what really sold me on K6, because I always like to try all the tools that are out there for testers if possible. And K6 was on my radar for a while, but what really sold it was just how easy it was to use. And I mean, you were the first one that they hired for the front end team, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I suppose you could see it that way. Or actually, when I joined, it wasn't really like we weren't really K6. We were, I guess, like we had a product K6, but we were, well, like the company was well known for being low impact. And
Right.
at that point in time, when I joined, Pepe, which is like head of marketing now, was actually running the front end team. So some time after I joined, we made a decision to rebrand the product, right? And then that's kind of where I started leading the front end efforts. Yeah, so we wanted to create like a nice premium looking brand, and like having the UX and feel of the system kind of like reflect that as well. And yeah, you want to commend me, but like I'm actually going to want to commend Maya, our UX designer. She's like made a tremendous, fantastic effort designing the system.
I'll commend both of you for
Yeah.
how well you work together with your design and back and forth. I've watched the product evolve over 6 years, and it's nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and also load testing is complicated enough, you know? Like it doesn't need to have a complicated interface as well. Like that's what I like about K6. It's not, there aren't that many bells and whistles just for the sake of looking good. You know, it's also functional first and foremost. It's just easy to get started with. And I've used a lot of other platforms. So I just really appreciate when it's just what I need and not much more. Do you get that feedback as well from customers about the interface, Mark?
Yeah, a lot of positive feedback that it's generally easy to use. There's not a lot of fuzz and noise. Gets them to the information they find most important as quickly as possible. Yeah, I've also looked at other tools, and you can end up in that paralysis by analysis stage if there's just too much going on. And I think,
Yeah.
Simon, you've done a good job balancing that.
So what are some of the features that we released this year that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, so we've released a bunch of nice features, I think, during this past year. I guess a couple of highlights. We released a feature where you could kind of like generate a PDF report of your test result, which is, well, it's a feature that many larger customers have been requesting for, and I guess it's really a time saver if you need to like quickly generate and I guess like repeatedly generate a nice looking performance report for like sharing with your manager or other executives.
Did you want me to add your screen to the stream?
Okay, yeah, we can look at it for sure.
Yeah, just so
So-
you can see how you actually get to the PDF export.
Right, so this is, I guess, I don't know, would it be fair to assume that the people watching the stream, they know about the K6 Cloud?
They probably know, but you can explain as well. It's
Right, so
probably a
this
bit of
is-
both.
Right. So this is showing I suppose my project, which is called main project, and it has a bunch of different tests here. And here you can see kind of like the test runs of that test and see the trending response time. So let's dive into one of the results here. So here is this is what the result looks like. You can kind of see overview stats of kind of how the test ran. You can dive down and find more stats about individual HTTP requests and look at like WebSocket connections and checks that you might run and thresholds. Many different things to kind of drill down and analyze your test results. So let's imagine you would want to share this to a manager, for example, to report that we ran this test, this is how it performed. So you would click on the menu up here, press generate PDF summary, and this would lead you to a, maybe I can make it a little
So
bit larger.
pretty.
Yeah, so what you see here is what you'll actually get in the PDF. So it's essentially what we were just looking at, but packed into like a nice format that's suitable for PDF, I suppose. So it says that status failed. There's some meta information, overview stats, and also like summaries for how it ran. There are different sections for like this is how the thresholds performed and response times and whatnot. So this is the results. You can edit it and remove sections that you don't really want. Like let's say that I don't want like load zone specific sections, and I don't
Wait,
want
I feel a bit dumb because I didn't know you could change what was in the PDF report.
Mhm. Yeah, so this is pretty powerful.
Let me comment here. This is what when my team and I are talking to both customers and prospective customers, they like this. Previously, you had to take screenshots, compile it into a Google Doc, and add your own stuff. This just generates a report from the web app. They like it.
I'm gonna add some custom text, and I'm gonna press generate, and hopefully this will translate into that report. Right? Let's see if I can open this up. Yeah. So you get a nice nice first page, and then obviously this is zoomed out now because
I think this is really good because like you said, you can just take screenshots, but then there's a lot of manual error that can happen. Like you forgot to copy this one and you still have the previous one copied. Like things like that shouldn't really be something that you can accept in a project. You just want to be able to generate things consistently. So this is really cool.
yeah, I mean, imagine if you're running like a test on a schedule. Let's say you're running it every hour or like every day. Copy pasting from the test results back and forth for every like test result, that's going to be like tedious work. So this is like huge time saver. So that's one of the highlights. Let's see what else do we have. Should I just like continue and
Yeah,
talk
go
about
for
the
it.
highlights? So another thing that was released, I believe this is one of the features that you got pretty excited about, Nicole, which is the thresholds page, and it essentially so on a test configuration you can define thresholds, which is basically I suppose the what you call it, the failed criteria or acceptance criteria of a test. So you could specify that the response time of the HTTP request that I'm making in my test, they should respond quicker than let's say 200 milliseconds. Otherwise, I want the test to fail, or at least mark it as failed. So the thresholds list here would list all your thresholds that you've ran across all the projects that you've selected here. And also you would be able to select for a given time range. So why is this useful? It's useful, I guess, for one, imagine if you have, you monitor and track SLOs. So here you would be able to see kind of the trend and fail rate of that acceptance criteria, which you've specified in your threshold. And this is really the only place where you can do it easily in the app today. I don't know, maybe what got you so excited about this feature, Nicole?
Well, I think it's just handy to put test criteria in the forefront of a team's mind or a tester's mind or whoever's running this, because a lot of times people run tests and then they don't really quite know what to do with it afterwards. How do you know whether something has passed or failed? Because just generating the load isn't enough. You have to know beforehand what circumstances would make performance acceptable. And so at K6, we're always stressing how you can add checks and thresholds as well based on response time or memory and CPU utilization of load generators. And those things are important to track, because otherwise you're just running something and it doesn't really say anything. And this is a good way of kind of just nudging people to be like, hey, you should be thinking about what all these tests mean. And it's also like a control center for if you have a lot of tests running continuously or scheduled tests that are running, you might not have checked each one individually, but you can see at a glance what's going on, what's going wrong. Right. Did you also, was this based on customer feedback, Mark?
I mean, I can tell you how customers use thresholds today and what I guess feedback we've gotten about this page. A lot of users are associating thresholds with SLAs, SLIs, SLOs, something on kind of that level. They're also using thresholds to gate their CI builds. So when something's exceeded, they're not pushing it any further. This page, though, has become useful to kind of see, hey, how often are we failing? Where are there issues? Where are there problem areas? Also, the trend on the right, the history of how that threshold, how the metric has performed. So are we creeping towards a failure, or are we just suddenly jumping up? It's a nice way to view the data that until this page existed, it just was too hard to determine. There was no trend.
Yeah.
When I found out this feature too, because I didn't really know that it was coming so soon, and I do have a scheduled test that's running on my site that every time I just put out a blog post or something, it runs a small test, and I didn't realize until I clicked on this that it was like green, 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 red, 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 and I'm like, oh, that theme that I put in messed something up. But sometimes I should have had notifications or something set up, but this is still, if you have a lot of tests, you don't want to be bombarded with notifications necessarily. So this is a good place to collate all of that.
Well, you can set up notifications to only alert on failed by threshold.
Yeah, even then, sometimes I run tests that purposely fail, so it can be a bit noisy.
Right. Yeah.
So another one
Okay.
was Cloud APM, right?
Right. So okay. So we've
Sorry, was there something else? I don't want
no,
to hurry
no.
you.
You guys were talking about notifications, so I thought it maybe was a good segue into email
Go for
notifications.
it.
Right. So yeah, I guess we'll start with notifications then. So we've had like this interface here to kind of set up like notifications channels, we call them, which allows you to, well, essentially add webhook integrations. And so we've got like Slack, Microsoft Teams, custom webhook. They're all webhooks really, but they have, I guess, pre-built templates for Slack and Teams. So these are great. You can get like messages for all these different types of events. Then you can even like customize your own template here to format the message in the way you want it to be. But I believe, Mark, this is also something that customers have been requesting, which is like being able to set email addresses as destination for these notifications.
Yeah, there were just some people that were like, hey, I don't want to look in Slack. I just want it in my email. And that's where I want to view it. And people were
Yeah.
hacking around it with custom webhooks previously. So again,
Oh, wow.
it made it easy for those people. It's a quality of life improvement, I feel.
Yeah. So similar to the other notification channels, you can set up like your settings here. I can select the recipients, and it will kind of like automatically show the people of my organization in the system. But you can type out literally any email here, like I want to send it to Mark at ktix.io. Well, it seems like you weren't a part of my organization in staging. I apologize. So I'll send it to Simon and to Mark. This is going to be the email subject. And I want to send it for these, let's see, these two notifications or event types. And this would be enough. You could save this and like call it a day, and then you would get a pretty nice looking email. But if you would want, you can also like toggle the advanced mode and also like specify or type out your template and format it the way you want it to look like. So I don't know, you could do
You know what
whatever,
would be
right?
cool? Sorry to insert a wish list, but I'd love to be able to email the PDF, the generated PDF.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yes, Simon.
Yeah. Yes, that would be really cool.
This is the real reason why I asked you here today. Mark and I are just going to be like, here's a laundry list of things we expect.
Yeah. Do you know
I
that
mean,
there's a... Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, just make the joke. If any of our current customers are listening, when you make feature requests to us and tell us you want things, Simon's the person I come talk to and make cases to.
It'll usually cost you a beer or two, though, right?
I owe a lot of people a lot of beers in Stockholm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like you mentioned, if anyone that's listening might have feature requests, we have I guess we can share the link to the feature request.
You mean that one?
Yeah. And I guess you guys can add your feature request to that list as well.
I put it in the comments as well.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So that was the notification or email notification feature. Another thing that you mentioned before I interrupted you with the email notifications were a Cloud APM. And Cloud APM is something that we have supported like prior to building out this new configuration page. So you've been able to, in your K6 tests, push like metric data to other like monitoring platforms. But you would have to kind of create that config yourself in your script, right? So what this does, it makes it easy because it like puts the configuration in a form and we automatically generate a config for you. So this is what it looks like. You can select any of these integrations. I think Azure Monitor and Datadog, they have, I'm not entirely sure what's used behind the scenes, but I think Grafana Cloud and New Relic, they use Prometheus Remote Write behind the scenes. So
Yep.
let's open one of these up. And this is the kind of the configuration page you look at, and they're in the like the fields that are present on this configuration page. They're individual to kind of the what type of integration you chose. So like this is what Grafana Cloud looks like, but if you look at Datadog, Datadog might have like specific fields to Datadog, right? So let's create one of these. Let's imagine that test.ksix.io API push. Let's imagine that this is a remote write URL. I know for a fact it isn't, but let's call it that. And let's say that the credentials are admin. The resample rate will vary between the different types of integrations. And this is essentially how often metrics are pushed to that remote write URL. You can select the metrics you think are relevant, or like the metrics you want to see on the dashboard you're pushing metrics to. It will list you the system metrics of kind of K6 Cloud. It's got a pretty nice preset already, so I'm just going to roll with this. Save the configuration. I'm not going to store all those passwords. So you have this configuration saved now. So what you can now do is go to create a new test, go to the test builder UI, and here it'll show up for you to enable. So let's just create one simple request here. HTTPS https.io. And the script looks pretty simple. Like we're making one HTTP GET, and here are the regular options which you might expect. But let's try to enable the Cloud APM now. So we enable it, and all of a sudden it's populated now with the APM configuration. So this is what you would typically have to like type out manually prior to having to when we've released this Cloud APM configuration page. And I don't remember on the top of my head now, but I believe you can have 3 integrations running at the same time, but they cannot be of the same provider. So you would be able to, I don't know for what reason, but let's imagine you have a Datadog dashboard, you have a Grafana Cloud dashboard, and you have a Azure Monitor dashboard. You could push metrics to all of them at the same time.
You just love APM and want them
everything, all the APM.
Yeah. So kind of one limitation of this, I suppose the test builder is that like you cannot add custom metrics in the test builder, right? But the APM feature allows for custom metrics. So what one could do here then, if they want to quickly generate like an APM configuration, but they don't want to type it out by hand, they can start like a test builder test, go to script, see like, okay, this looks good, and then they can create a test from that test builder script, which is pretty nice. And then you can from here carry on and like add your custom metrics. Yeah, I believe this feature requires annual team or higher plan. Is that right, Mark?
Sounds about right, yeah.
And I guess that's not specifically to this UI, but rather to be able to run Cloud APM configurations. Yeah, it's pretty useful. Nice
And
shortcut.
since you already showed it a bit, the test builder is also pretty awesome looking now.
Right. So the test builder. Yeah. So this is a UI that's been kind of with us for quite some time. It dates back. Well, the concept at least dates back like a couple of years, and I believe this is the current test builder that we have now in production is, I think, Mark 4, something like that. So we've like taken feedback and learned what we need to improve. So some of the things that were improved now in the last kind of version is the UI is a little bit tighter. It works better on laptop screens. It's a lot faster, and like it runs smoother and is more predictable and reliable. Navigation has been improved, so it's easier to kind of focus on what you're currently editing. What else? Yeah, one of the, I guess, bigger changes is it allows for more flexible like load configuration. So if we go into, it's called ramping VUs. So in the previous version of the test builder, you had these different presets which you could click on, but it wouldn't allow you to have like a, I guess, like a variable, like ramping up VUs, but rather setting like a fixed static number of VUs for a given duration of time. While this right here now, it allows to set any ramping configuration essentially. So let's say you want to start out with 1, you want to ramp out to 30, you want to go to 5, and then I don't know, like 100 for 1 minute.
I really just like that animation. It looks so nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
As you're changing it.
Yeah.
Also, I think that realistic load tests don't always conform to one of the standard preset kind of load profiles. Like just in November, every November we have in Australia this Melbourne Cup, and it's like a huge horse race. And I still have friends that are working on different betting sites for performance, and so I hear a lot about what's going on. But horse racing is really interesting because it's like it's a spike load, which we did have in the preset, I believe, but it's like every 10 minutes or so there's a spike. So that kind of thing isn't easy to do if you just have like a pre-selected list of load profiles. But here you could do it so that it spikes for 2 minutes every 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could type out whatever like profile you want here. And yeah, there are more things to come with the test builder. Like quite soon you'll be able to do even more, like fine control over how the kind of iterations and views are spawned.
Oh, I can't wait. When?
Yeah, soon. But yeah, already this is a huge improvement to kind of the previous version of the test builder.
And I also always say to people who are new, if they're a little bit daunted by having to script in JavaScript for K6, sometimes it's good to just start out with a test builder and then flip to the script view. And that way you can try out different things and see what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just like click in all of these things, like you have a request, you sleep, you add a different request here with some, I don't know, some the I don't know, like name, Simon. At any point in time, you can click the toggle button here and see like what the K6 script looks like. And would you feel that the UI is limited because you actually do know some scripting, you can create a new test from the script that you see right here. It's pretty cool.
A common pattern I see with users is they use the test builder to build a foundation, get 80% of the way done, copy the script, and then add their business logic, their parameterization, whatever it may be. Just save all that initial upfront time.
Yeah. I mean, I know scripting, obviously, right? Because I work in the front end team, but I often use the test builder UI myself, just to quickly like generate script. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm especially with the cloud APM stuff. You know, I just do it in Test Builder and then copy it over.
Yeah, things like that. Like you might not remember the interface, right? So like thresholds, for example, one could easily create like a threshold in the UI here, real quick. But rather than having to go to documentation and see like, okay, well, what's the interface again?
I mean, even just the options object, setting up stages, it's not hard to write out the stages. It's just tedious. It can take time
Yeah.
if you have more than 2 or 3.
Oh, but I discovered something. I was like, I signed up for the GitHub Copilot thing, and now when you do that, it fills it in for you. I'm like, this is black magic of some sort. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, Tom from our professional services team, he's commented on GitHub Copilot as well. It's like, hey, this is really good for scripting. It speeds this up.
So can you also talk about the new features that you alluded to that are coming to Test Builder?
All right. Yeah, it's in a like a PR pull request instance, so it's not like a finished code, right? But it runs. So like I might be showing a bunch of bugs as well right now here, but
Wait, so you're gonna do more than just tell us? You're gonna show us?
yeah, why not?
Ooh.
So let's look at an unfinished pull request here, but I believe that it will run. It is the one, test builder. Yeah, so let's go to a new test builder test. You'll immediately see like a small change in the left menu where it says scenarios, and there it no longer says ramping views. Can you see? Is it big enough?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So initially you'll land here with one scenario. It looks familiar as the other screen we're looking at. So you could add your request, like physics.io. But when switching over to the script tab now, or script mode, you'll see in the options here that it's actually using K6 scenarios and using explicitly setting what executor type or execution mode it will use. So ramping VUs, like that's essentially what we're providing in I guess the current test builder. So
yeah, stages are the same.
Exactly, stages. You control the ramping of the VUs, and the VUs loop, or as many times as they have time to within the like duration that you set. But you can change this. So let's say that, well, let's go into the options. It looks a little bit different now. So you can reset the name for your scenario. You can select the different type of execution mode. I believe there are like six different modes that are relevant to kind of I guess cloud. The seventh one is externally controlled, so you could like control K6 runtime via like a RESTful API. So you could pause and continue, pause and continue. But yeah, that's not exposed in the cloud. You can also set when the scenario should start in time. So this could be useful. Let's imagine you have like multiple different scenarios and you want to start one scenario after another. So you could have like different types of test cases that you run, like one and then start the other and then start the consecutive ones. That's pretty cool. Graceful stop. Yeah, I guess you can roll with the default here.
So going with the horse racing thing the example that I brought up earlier, one thing you could do with scenarios is have one scenario where people are just going through the different races, just browsing. And then you want to say maybe 30 minutes in, that's when the race starts. So everybody bet. But there's only a limited amount of time that you can bet. And then at one point you're going to have to stop. So maybe that scenario then gradually ramps down or just shuts down entirely. And then maybe after that, another scenario starts where people are just refreshing to see if they won. So that's how you can use different scenarios to cover different user flows. I love the thought of being able to see it here. I can't wait. Why isn't it out yet, Simon?
Just merge it. Looks good to me.
It's not fully ready yet, but very soon. Yeah, so like you were talking about, you could have like your one scenario that's kind of like doing your user session, like I don't know, like browsing around on your website, and then you could have another scenario that starts like sometime in or at the beginning, but it's running a different execution mode. Let's say like a constant arrival rate. So let's say you run it for like 1 minute, and I want the rate to be like 20 iterations per time unit. So it will launch 20 iterations every second in this configuration right here. So you could stress your API that might be like, you could stress a microservice that might be crucial for the user flow and see how it impacts the response times of the user flow. It's pretty, you can do some pretty powerful configurations. But it kind of comes at an expense as well, because looking at these kind of options pages, they add some more fields, right? So seeing these extra fields might maybe, I don't know, could feel daunting, but we aim to add nice defaults for each of the different execution modes. So you wouldn't like typically have to look at fields that are already kind of filled in if you're like a beginner.
We also got a question from James. Any plans for allowing some flexibility in the pass or fail criteria for test steps? I have tests where a 4XX is an acceptable response code, but that step fails 100% according to K6 Cloud. So what James is talking about here is that by default, HTTP 4XX and 5XX responses are automatically marked as failures by K6. And you can actually change that in the script. So I'm just going to put that in the comments as well. It's called set response callback, and you can say that the expected response for this is a 4XX. So then when a request returns an HTTP 400, then it will be marked as a success. And if it returns anything else, then it will be marked as a failure. And then it should show up in K6 Cloud as well. I think there's no way to set that on the UI unless, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can set it in the script.
Yeah, there is no way to set it in the UI currently. But yeah, that's maybe one thing we should consider adding.
I told you we've got a list. James has a list too, apparently.
Yeah, it's good. Add it to the feature request list for sure. Yeah, so this is how you can. Obviously you can create scenarios, right, in your script, but this is one of the features that are coming, being able to do it in a test builder as well. Another feature that we're working on, we're kind of like close, ready to release, is being able to see different scenarios on your test results as well. So yeah, should I just switch over to that?
Yeah.
Please.
So let's see where we have it. Right, so let's dive into a test that didn't run any scenarios, and then this will be just like looking at your regular test result that I suppose you're used to, or not. You'll notice this kind of section right here that says no scenario was configured in the test. Check out how to create one, and I will give you like a small snippet here to kind of explore what it is. But let's dive into a test that actually ran different scenarios. And maybe we can look at some tests that actually run multiple protocols as well. So here in the performance overview, we've added the scenario section, and I will show you, similar to how it displays kind of like overview stats for your tasks, it will show overview stats of your scenarios as well as a performance kind of overview chart. You'll be able to look at the specific options for each scenario configuration. I mean, you could do this in the script as well, right? But I guess like a nice little shortcut, as well as add these performance charts to the analysis tab. So let's add all of these, and then we'll look at them later.
I want this so much.
Yeah,
This is so good.
It's pretty nice. Let's imagine that you would want to kind of dive down deeper and see how the individual HTTP requests or how the individual HTTP endpoints performed for a specific scenario. So let's go to the HTTP tab. This, you can see that this is new. This thing right here. So from here you can see that it ran actually different scenarios, but let's imagine that you're only interested in the scenario that's called heavy load. You can filter here by scenario name. So let's do heavy load. And then you can dive down to see how these performed. Another thing that's changed here is the tree, kind of the tree mode. It will now show you like visually show you the hierarchy of the scenarios groups. And
this should be the default.
Should it?
I think so. I always flip it. I don't know. Is it just me?
I always go to list.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
I
maybe not.
You're the one that has a background in performance testing, so maybe you know better than that.
Well, yeah, but that's just how I use it. I mean, all sorts of people use K6, so.
Yeah. Similar here, you can also like filter on these things with the new filter expression. So you could filter out on specific URLs with a specific name. You could filter by only showing the one that didn't have an expected response, for example. So it would show you the ones with an error HTTP, or what is considered to be kind of a HTTP error response status. And it will also show you if you didn't have any match in a specific group or a specific scenario.
I think I always use the tree view because whether I'm using a different scenario or a group, it's handy to see it in context, because otherwise you just see a bunch of URLs and you don't really know if that's an issue or not. You know, like you might see something that has a high response time, but if you put it in context that it's payment, well, people are a little bit more, they have lower standards for payment because it's okay to take a while to when you're processing something like payment. In fact, if it were super quick, people might get a bit suspicious, right? So that's why just seeing the URL for me isn't enough.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess so we're marking the URLs here as like a green check or a red X. So this is based on the expected response. So I guess when like diving down to see how the endpoints were doing, you will, talking for HTTP now, you'll probably want to check like, okay, did I have any like error responses, and see, like, figure out what caused it to return an unexpected response status. And there's a nice shortcut for that. You can press the filters right here and say, I want to show the 10 highest error count URLs, for example, and it would just apply the filter and apply the sorting for you.
Is that in the PDF as well?
No, that's unfortunately not in the PDF.
I'm gonna write that
Yeah.
on the list.
Nicole, let me know after you add it. I'll give you a thumbs up on it.
Right.
Okay. Poor Simon, he'll never be back.
It's all right. It's good. Another thing that was added at the same time was, I guess, like first-class support for gRPC results in the cloud. So you will be able to see what data for your gRPC, what those called, methods, which you couldn't before. So this test ran. It set up okay, you cannot see it now because it's in a separate module, but it set up a gRPC connection and started invoking a bunch of methods here. So that's another addition. Another improvement that we've done in the same pull request is, I guess, improve the result page for WebSockets a little bit. Previously, you wouldn't be able to see any overview stats essentially for WebSocket tests unless you went into analysis and kind of drew out added the time series yourself or the metrics. So now you'd be able to see kind of the performance overview charts as well as the overview stats, so, which is nice. Another change that we've done is we've done some changes to what the UI looks like when you compare a test result to another test result. Let's look at how that looks like. So we've moved everything into one single chart. It was previously dual chart with a synced tooltip, but now instead you have everything in one. It will show you the compared test metrics as dotted lines rather than like fully solid lines, I suppose. And this is reflected throughout in like when you drill down on the individual endpoints as well. It just makes
So
things
pretty.
a little bit nicer and easier to process.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Just we're running out of time with all of the cool things that you're showing us. Can we go to? Actually, I think you've saved the best for the last. At least my favorite ones. Do you want to show insights?
Insights, okay. Right. So yeah. So another project that we're soon to release is the improved performance insights. It's this section right here. So yeah, performance insights is also a concept that we've had for quite some time. It's a feature, maybe you can kind of chime in here, Mark, but it's a feature that many people kind of like, since it provides some help and insight to kind of, if the test was badly designed to kind of saturate the load generator or CPU or memory, or it was generating too many unique URLs and things like that. And also showing you if you had a more, like here, for example, if you have a high HTTP failure rate, or you identifying things that for free, essentially, without having to kind of scout in your results yourself.
Yeah,
And
I guess the high level thought is we've been around performance testing so long, we know patterns that people should be aware of, and we're just trying to highlight them. High
exactly.
CPU saturation on load generators, that's long been a support question. Hey, why is my test failing? And I think part of it was, hey, let's help people so they don't have to wait for support, and turn this into something that they can find themselves naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about the thresholds and the criteria, running the test is often the easiest part. The actual execution is way easier than analysis and interpretation, and arguably a lot of the value of a performance test is in the analysis. But it's really difficult, right? Because you end up with so many data points, and sometimes it's difficult to track down what exactly went wrong. So these performance insights are a way to give you a more nuanced result, a nuanced interpretation of the results, not just here's what happened, but here are patterns that we've spotted based on our experience and just the sheer volume of tests that we see. And here are ways to actually kind of like, how do you move forward from here? Could you click on like the text as well? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Exactly.
saying that because I wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you wrote the draft, or you wrote the specification for all the new insights, and yeah, like you already mentioned a little bit. So what has been improved is actually making them more helpful, giving context to not only what went bad, but also coming with recommendations and like helping out to kind of track how you can remediate these things. So the current insights that we currently have in production, they would only tell you, okay, something went wrong. You have a high HTTP failure rate. Good luck finding out what it is. What is here? If you look, you actually have so this is the failing URLs, and here are some recommendations to like how you could fix it. And this reflects throughout the whole to all of the different insights. Another big change was that rather than showing that only insights that failed, we will show you also like all the checks that were run as a part of a test run. So like you were actually getting all these checks for free, essentially, but without having to lift your own finger. Right? Yeah.
So I really like where this is going, and this won't happen for a while, but like the vision is to have some sort of, I hesitate to say scorecard because that implies that everything is quantifiable, but it is a starting point for how to judge whether a test has been, whether the performance during a test has been good or bad, or maybe to compare tests if they're using the same script and in slightly different situations. It's just there are a bunch of performance insights that are out now. We want to improve those, but then just think of like all the future things that we could have, all the future insights that we could have. Maybe the insights can even be thresholds, and we can stop a test based on those, or fail a test because of based on whether those insights are triggered.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be pretty interesting, especially for like when starting to design tests, or even like if you're not so experienced in performance or load testing, to just have those things kind of guard you. That'd be pretty cool.
I think that's a good point. There's a fair number of people I talk to that when we're having discussions about K6 Cloud, they're like, hey, I'm new to performance testing and I'm not sure where to start. And these these features help guide them to the right place on things they should look for, and so they can not waste all that time and can get to the meaningful things they need to do.
And also, there are many things that just invalidate a test. Like if you have higher than recommended CPU or memory utilization, that could just invalidate your entire test. And we want to call that out because otherwise you're making decisions, potentially big business decisions based on these results. And we want you to know when you can count on it and when you can't. That's not something that we can like step in and stop you from doing, but we can at least call it out when we've spotted it in your results.
Yeah, save the time. Don't chase a ghost that doesn't exist. It's not a performance issue. It's the load generator saturated. Your results are thrown away.
Just as a last thing, can we quickly see the new app?
Which one are you talking about specifically?
the Grafana one.
Right. Okay. Let's see. So
I was trying to be coy and not spoil it.
sorry, I didn't pick that up.
It's all right.
Yeah. So I guess real quickly, we've been working for a couple of months now on a plugin for Grafana Cloud, which would let you see similar types of results from your load tests, but like directly in Grafana. So let's just dive straight into it. So this looks fairly familiar to the screens that we've been looking at now recently, that showing the features in the K6 Cloud app. But this is similar, like this is your product or project dashboard, the tests you have, you can go into like individual test results. And you can see like similar overview stats of how the test performed, overview chart, see the individual kind of HTTP endpoints, currently only supporting HTTP, and your thresholds and checks, and also drill down to see like how they did individual as well. The cool thing here is that, well, from not only cool because it's embedded here in the Grafana, but you can press copy to clipboard here, go to your whatever dashboard you might have. This looks like my dashboard. It's empty, but you can paste that chart into your dashboard. I don't know when this ran, so let's do like 30 days. Okay, seem to be a run here. Zoom in.
I think this is really exciting for existing Grafana customers that want to get the K6 Cloud experience in Grafana and correlate that data over.
The thing is, I just did a bunch of videos, and I've been saying in meetups, oh, there's this cool new plugin where you can use K6 as a data source in Grafana. And then Simon's like, yeah, we're deprecating that. Here's like a way better experience with all the bells and whistles, recreating almost all of the features of K6 Cloud, except for the cool new ones that that he just showed. It's like you're moving the whole team is moving so quickly.
Yeah.
And Simon, this would basically just treat K6 Cloud as a data source, right? So all the data is in K6 Cloud and it's just visualized in Grafana?
Exactly. Right. So when installing the plugin, you will have to go to K6 Cloud and add your API token in the kind of like data source configuration here in Grafana Cloud. So yeah, it's essentially just a different front end than K6 Cloud. Yeah, like
And
you
I think
already.
you can.
Yeah.
You'd still be able to use it without Grafana Cloud, right? You can use K6 Cloud and a locally hosted Grafana.
Yeah, that's also possible. Yeah, so like you touched a little bit, the nice thing here is that, well, I mean, let's say you're already using Grafana for monitoring your systems and infrastructure. You have a dashboard that's kind of like tracking how your systems behave and like the health of the systems. If you have this plugin, you'll be able to just lift in the metrics that the load test generated and correlate it to, which you would like currently you would use Cloud APM, right, to push the metrics, but here you would just get them like super conveniently, and you'd be able to even here like change like what metrics you want to kind of plot out on this chart. It's pretty nice. Yeah, but this is a very early project, kind of like a seed of a project, but plan is to release it and then keep kind of iterating on it and port more and more features.
I think your definition of very early is different from mine, because your definition includes like not just a prototype, but a fully functional app. That's not very early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simon, can we ask you when any of these things are coming, roughly? Holding
Today?
no commitments?
1 hour?
Yeah. I want to say that. Yeah, I wouldn't take poison on this estimation, but oh, nice. Yeah, it's running on my other laptop, and it locked the screen, so it stopped communicating. But yeah, I'd probably say like sometime like mid-end January, something like that.
Very cool.
But yeah, wouldn't take poison on it.
So some months away.
Yeah, exactly.
Weeks to months.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I think we're already a little bit over, but thank you for showing us all of this. For everybody else, Simon actually showed this during our internal tech talk on Wednesday, and we were all like, "Oh wow, when is it coming out?" There's so many goodies that the front end team has given us, and I think that it's such a huge part of the K6 experience. What you're doing and what your team is doing. It's really the first mile, you know. It's what sets the expectations of everybody, of all K6 users. So thank you for your work, and you're clearly not resting on your laurels.
Yeah, Simon, you make a lot of our customers happy.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear. We do whatever we can.
Awesome. All right, well, I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll say goodbye to everybody else. You, Simon and Mark, you can stay. But everybody else, thank you for watching. Thank you, Simon and Mark, for coming on this time. And I guess happy weekend.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.